On one bright day like today, our 2015 campaign plane landed at Bauchi Airport. I looked through the window and saw a sea of people at the tarmac. It was the same panoramic view that I see in front of this Queen Amina Hall today. It was a common sight in those days, but this one was quite different. As the plane taxied to a stop, the crowd surged towards it. They got right onto the runway. Security men and women tried to stop the crowd, but gave up at some point. The security personnel ran towards the plane too. From the window of the aircraft, I took a deep look at the crowd. Some barefooted, some well-dressed, as if it was Salah day. Some young, some old, some rich, some poor. A look at many in the crowd showed people who have a tough life. Yet, the enthusiasm on their faces, the fashion in their steps, the gesture of their chants, "Say Buhari," touched my heart. I said right there, before I got off the plane, that if I win the election, I will come back to those people that I saw. I will find them across northern Nigeria and I will make a deal with them. It had taken over 5 years now. I am sorry that that it took that long, but I am here today to make a deal with you all. I have asked parents, old and young, men and women, young children, boys and girls, everyone of you who shared the hope to change that we promised, to come out here today. I chose this backdrop, the Queen Amina Hall, inside of Muhammadu Buhari University, to illustrate the point I want to make. I want those of you who have never been inside the four walls of a university to come here in this institution. I want you to come in front of this hall, named after an extraordinary woman who was trailblazer in our history, a woman who defied all the odds and wrote her name in marble. I want to invoke Queen Amina, who was not just a leader by accident, but one who was also schooled. She fought her way to the top. She was the epitome of the deal that I envision. I want to make things better for you, for us, but I realize that the greatest change there is the one that we all, each of us, can make in ourselves. In 2019, WAEC, no state in the north, made it on the top 10 performing state in the examination. Of the 10 states at the bottom, 9 in the north, in the common entrance examination into unity schools in Nigeria, the statistics is such there. In 2008 and 2019 session, while the cut-off mark for a male student from Anambra State is 139 and Oyo State 127 out of 300. The cut-off mark for a male pupil from Yobe State is 2 points, and a male pupil from Zamfara State is 4 points. The trend has been like this in the last 30 years. Lowering standards has not helped the North bridge the gap or improve performance. Instead, it has perpetuated poor performance and lower standard. Looking at the population of young people in these regions, these poor figures for the North are unacceptable. We need to change that together. It should not be like this in the next 30 years. We can reverse it. The speed with which our people formed Shege Kafasa in response to Southwest Amotikun, if we had applied that same fashion to education, we wouldn't have remained backward and disadvantaged for the last 30 years. To all the parents out here and those watching at home, I want you to bring your children to me. I want you to get them off the farm, off the streets, off the business of life and bring them to me. Leave them with me for 12 years, just 12 years. From the time they are 6 to the time they are 18, and I will turn them into what my children have become, what Atiku's children have become, what Antata's children have become, what Shagari's children has become. My daughter just made first class in photography from the prestigious London University. Your daughters could do the same. I am proposing a paradigm shift for us all, for a democratic society to sincerely demand personal responsibility. It must first deliver to the people the minimal educational development. It is a fundamental exchange needed for the creation of a fair and equal society. I want your children to be educated like my children, like Atiku's children, like Shagari's children, like Senusi's children. I want your children to stop coming to the table of the Antata, the Shagaris, and the Umas, the Buharis, to be given food to eat. I want your children to sit on the same boardroom with our children, be in the same university campus with our children, to work in the same laboratory, to manage the same hospitals as doctors, to design the same roads as engineers, and fly the same airplanes as pilots. I want them to go as far as their brains can take them. I want them to go to the best schools all over the world, from Zaria to Zambia, from London to Moscow, from New Delhi to New York. In 30 years, I want to have equal number of children from the northern Nigeria competing on equal footing, JAMB and WAEC and Cambridge examinations, in entrance examinations to federal government schools across Nigeria. This is why it is important. The best investment we can make in the north is not in finding oil in the Chad Basin. It is not in mining gold in Zamfara. It is in investing in the potentials of our children. And so it is that the greatest security we can provide for our society is equality of opportunity. It starts with equality of education. Equality of education guarantees equal access to knowledge. Knowledge, is not just power. Knowledge is also health. It is also wealth. It is also an antidote to ignorance.
The North does not change. The North will destroy itself. The country is moving on.
I charge you to join me as we build a new northern Nigeria in a generation. We will start with one local government in each state until we get to every school in all of northern Nigeria. Our goal is that in 3 years from today, there will be a free and compulsory primary and secondary school education for all children across northern Nigeria from the ages of 6 to 18. We will feed your children. We will provide them books and pencils and desks and dresses and anything they need to go to school. We will find new teachers to teach them and retrain and retain the ones we have now. We will build the new schools where they will learn and repair the ones we have now. All that we want you to do as parents is to free your children, free them and watch them fly. Free them for 6 hours of every weekend, and we will do the rest. While we adore the ways of the past, tomorrow runs on new tools. We need to acquire these new tools to be able to propel tomorrow. The empires of today are not the type of forefathers built with arrows, guns, and enslavement. Empires that need to be protected with high walls. The empires of today are the type Aliko Dangote builds with knowledge and information from the mountains of Tanzania to the Sahel of Senegal. If such ventures have been good to Dangote, they will also be good to your own children. Amfanin hankali aiki da shi. For long, your leaders have pointed at some other places and some other people as those responsible for your challenging lives. We did it to cover up our own failures, to lift you up the way we lifted our own children. We did it to protect ourselves from being at the receiving end of your wrath. But we should have known that our long-term fate depends on you. The people are not just in giving our children the best that the world has. Now we are ready to make amends. It took me a long time to realize the only way to preserve our society, our cherished history and heritage, is to secure an educated and informed citizenry. Those who are not hooked to the tap of knowledge find themselves deep in the valley of ignorance. We have to tell ourselves the truth. It starts from here. Our leaders may have enriched themselves, but they have impoverished millions more in the process. We must stop forthwith our tendency to confuse the personal interests of our leaders with our collective interest. No, they are not the same. As the wise one said, what others did to us are so much, but what we did to ourselves are much more. I ask that you trust me on this mission. By lifting your children, our children, we will lift up our society. By giving them education, we will be making them competitive. They will go to the moon and back, exploring and tolerating of the different world out there. But most importantly, by pulling them up, we will maximize the potentials that I know are in them. To this end, I have secured a Northern Rehabilitation Fund approved by the National Assembly. It is part of our efforts to rebuild the North after the devastation of Boko Haram insurgency. I have also consulted our partners in private sector to team up with us in putting the necessary resources needed for this mission to be a success. They have signed on this mission and have donated their time and billions of naira to make this happen. They are here with me in show of commitment to you. The Muslims that will inherit the 21st century world is not the ones that can only read Arabic or recite the Quran, but the ones like my daughter and my son, who can be at home in Dubai and at home in London and at home in New Delhi. So please join me as we unleash the promises currently locked up in all our children. There is no injustice worse than wasting the God-given potentials of our children. Join me, my brothers and sisters, and let us finish the work our forefathers, Muhammadu Bello, started. Hana wani hana kai. If one refuses another, one refuses himself. Thank you for listening. God bless you. God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Great news! SendWave is expanding to Spain, Italy, and Ireland. No more excuses, my brothers and sisters. You can now enjoy the same free, secure, fast, easy, and trusted way that over 500,000 people in the US and the UK are using to send money home. Now, from December 3rd to December 10th, you can get 10 euros on top of your first transaction by using the promo code DOCTOR. After that, it is €5. So rush to our app store and download SendWave.